With training camp and the preseason just a couple of weeks away, I wanted to take a look at a Mavericks offseason recap, look at all of the transactions and changes made to the team this offseason, and see if they improved from the end of last year to now, and hopefully they can make a run at the 2026 NBA title. Welcome into the show. Jeffrey Cooper Sr. here with you guys. Hope everyone enjoyed their weekend, and let's hop into the roster changes that the Mavericks underwent this offseason. And it's pretty kind of simple here. The players that they brought in, Cooper Flagg, who was the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft, and then D'Angelo Russell, who they signed to a 1-year deal, taxpayer mid-level exception in free agency. The players that left, Spencer Dinwiddie departed the Mavericks for the Charlotte Hornets. Olivier Maxence Prosper was waived by the Mavericks just a couple of weeks ago, and he signed a 2-way contract with the Memphis Grizzlies, so he stays in the Southwest Division. But these are the only 2 ins and 2 outs for the Mavericks this season. The rest of the guys are all of the same. Now, of course, the Mavericks also signed Miles Kelly and Ryan Nembhard to 2-way contracts, so those guys will be on the roster as well. But I think just if you're looking at the 2 in and 2 out, it's an obvious improvement on paper. Now, I know those aren't going to be direct replacements. You signed D'Angelo Russell not to replace Spencer Dinwiddie. You signed him to replace Kyrie Irving, who's going to miss the majority of the season. And you also brought in Cooper Flagg not to replace Olivier Maxence Prosper, but to add to your already extremely deep wing room that you have right now and to plug him into the starting lineup as another versatile chess piece. So, yeah, I do think this Mavericks roster did improve on paper, but we'll have to see how it plays out on the court here in just about 5 weeks or so. I can't believe that we're already almost here to the start of the season. The Mavericks did extend 2 players during this offseason. Daniel Gafford got a 3-year, $54 million contract extension from the Mavericks, and that comes with no trade restrictions. So if the Mavericks theoretically, I'm not saying they would do this, but if they wanted to trade Daniel Gafford tomorrow, they could without penalty. They also signed PJ Washington to that 4-year, $89 million contract extension just a couple of weeks ago as well. And both of these extensions were pretty much, I would say, expected. The Washington one as well, I maybe would have gone on a 3-year deal, but I can see why they did it for the full 4 years. And PJ cannot be traded this season, so he is locked in to be a Maverick for at least this season before they even think about moving him in some sort of deal. But I did like getting both of these guys locked up long term. Gafford, a starting caliber center who wanted starting caliber money, and he ends up getting it at around $18 million per season. And then PJ Washington, who is one of the leaders of this squad and had played the best basketball of his career last year, gets rewarded with a contract north of $22 million per season as well. The re-signings that the Mavericks made, guys who were technically free agents, returned to the Mavs. Kyrie opted out of the final year of his contract to sign a new 3-year, $119 million deal, and that does have a player option on the final year, so it's technically a 2-year plus 1. And then Dante Exum returned to the Mavericks on a 1-year veteran minimum contract. You guys know I love Dante Exum. I think he's worth much more than a vet min, and I think he's going to play a role for this team this season as a guy who can defend multiple positions, who can push the pace on the offensive end, and who can shoot the 3 at an extremely, extremely high level. I need you guys to help me out, though. I need some help here from the channel, from the MFFLs. Do you want us to go live for games this season? We absolutely love doing watch parties here at the channel, hanging out with all the Mavericks fans, breaking down all of the games, and reacting live in real time to what the Mavericks are doing on the basketball court. If you guys want us to do that, we need at least 10 new subscribers. So new viewers who are watching our show for the first time, we're counting on you guys to hit that subscribe button so my bosses will allow me to go live. It's absolutely my favorite part of my job is getting to talk to you guys, getting to chop it up, getting to watch Mavs basketball with y'all. If you want us to go live, we need at least 10 new subs. Hit that subscribe button right now. All in all, for the Mavericks, this was a relatively quiet offseason, I would say. And I think that was kind of to be expected given all of the chopping and changing that the Mavs did in the previous offseason and at the trade deadline, which we all know what happened. I think this team was pretty set in stone because they had guys that were already on multiple year contracts. Like we showed you all the transactions they made. Look, now you have the majority of the core of your team locked up for the foreseeable future. You have PJ Washington locked up for 5 more years, I guess, because he has 1 more year on his current deal plus the 4-year extension. You have Cooper Flagg hopefully for 15 plus years. You have Anthony Davis for the next 3 years. You have Derek Lively for the foreseeable future. You have Daniel Gafford for the foreseeable future. Klay Thompson has 2 years left on his contract. Jaden Hardy has 3 years left on his. Najee Marshall has 2 years left. Like, Max Christie has 3 or 4 years left. I think 3. But point being, all of these guys are locked up for the long term. So your roster right now is your roster unless you're going to make a trade. And Nico Harrison has certainly shown the propensity to make trades. He is not afraid of making trades. I believe he's made one at each of his trade deadlines in his tenure as GM, of the Dallas Mavericks. So he's certainly not afraid to change the team and do what he thinks is best for the team. Now, again, we all know how that worked out last February. But look, my opinion on this team honestly changes daily. Like, there are some days where I'm super optimistic about the outlook of this team for the year. And there are other times where I'm just like, I really don't know how this team's going to fare in the Western Conference, because there are a lot of competitive and a lot of really, really good teams. But I do think the outlook of this squad boils down to one thing. It boils down to whether or not they're going to play defense at a high level. It's a lot like the Dallas Cowboys in the NFL, for those of you that watch. Like, their passing attack is going to have to be top 5 for them to have a chance to win any game. They barely beat the Giants in overtime, and the Giants are a horrible team. The outlook on the Mavs is going to be the same. They are going to need to be a top 5 defensive team in the NBA in order for them to even have a chance to make the playoffs. If this squad is an average defensive team, they are not going to be very good. They have to be an elite defensive team in order for this thing to work out. And I do think they can do that because of a couple of reasons. I think Frank Vogel being the lead assistant / defensive coordinator is going to help them out tremendously. He kind of was that last year as well. I can tell you this, like, for the Mavericks playing game against the Sacramento Kings, Frank Vogel was a big, big key into designing that defensive game plan. The Mavs went out there and kicked Sacramento's ass. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen over an 82-game span. There will be nights where they're just facing an offensive juggernaut, and they're just not going to have the power to stop teams that are super high-powered on offense. But hopefully having a guy with head coaching experience, championship experience like Vogel will help this team become an elite defensive group alongside with the pieces they have. But here's some other things that I think need to happen for the Mavericks to be a good team this year. Cooper Flagg needs to fly out of the gate. He needs to hit the ground running. He needs to be the guy that we think we're getting pretty much right away. And I know that's putting a lot of pressure on the number 1 overall pick to be that guy, and I know it's going to take time for him to develop, and there will be growing pains. But man, if he flies out of the gates here and he is able to be a polished offensive player right away, as in addition to his defensive capabilities, that will help the Mavericks tremendously into getting where they think they need to go. We also just need to get the 2023 version of D'Angelo Russell. If the Mavs get that, you're looking at a really good squad. And I've been hesitant to think that D'Lo is going to be that guy, but just look at his stats from February of 23 to April of 2024. 93 games played with the Los Angeles Lakers. 17.7 points, 6 assists, 47% from the field, 41.5% from 3. If you can get this guy, who, by the way, was available for most of this stretch as well, I really think that you are going to have a team that could do something special in the West. Am I saying they could be a top 3 seed in the West? Not necessarily. Do I think they can absolutely compete in the West and maybe even win a series in the West if they get D'Angelo Russell that showed the all-star caliber player that he can be? I do think that could certainly be the case. So we'll see what happens with D'Lo, but I think getting the version that the Lakers got would be absolutely key. And we already talked about the elite defense, but another key, which you can say is 1B to staying to the elite defense, is just stay healthy. Squad has to stay healthy. I feel like a broken record talking about this throughout the offseason, but it just is what it is. If you're healthy, you can be good. If you're not, you just can't. They just missed too many games last year as a squad. 32 for Kyrie, 31 for Davis, 46 for Lively, 25 for Gafford and PJ. D'Angelo missed 24 last year, and Dante Exum just played in 20 games. 444 total missed games for the Mavs last season as a team. Not good enough. Not going to get it done. Got to find a way to stay on the court. I don't know what the fix is. I don't know how you do that. I just hope the training staff does, and I hope the medical staff has a plan to try to keep these guys on the court as frequently as possible. We already don't know the status of AD for opening night because he had his detached retina surgery on July when I think he could have had that in April. Again, not a medical expert, but it just looked fishy and weird to me. Hopefully they can just stay healthy. And if they do that and the other pieces are put into place, they could be a pretty good team this year. If you like the moves the Mavs have made this offseason, hit that thumbs up icon for me. We're trying to get to 150 likes here on today's show. If you like what the Mavs have done and you think they're going to be a good team this year, hit that like button right now. And while you're doing that, you can go get this hat on sale for 25% off. Chatsports.com/Mavs sale is the place to go get it. Dope washed gray hat. Kind of like a denim-ish look, but it's gray. Dallas Mavericks across the front. It has the year the Mavs were established in 1980. I really like this hat. I already ordered one myself. It's at my crib right now. Chatsports.com/Mavs sale. That link will be in the comments and description of today's show. I kind of alluded to it earlier, but I think the most underrated move that the Mavs made this offseason was to hire Frank Vogel as the lead assistant. Now, he was a consultant for the Mavericks last year, wasn't working for the team on a part-time basis, but Jason Kidd was able to convince Vogel to join this staff full-time. And obviously, Vogel was the head coach on the Lakers when they won the 2020 NBA title with Jason Kidd as an assistant. Now those roles are switched, but I really believe that having the championship experience and having the coaching acumen that Frank Vogel has will help this team elevate to the next level. And there is a lot of experience and a lot of pedigree on this Mavs coaching staff. We showed you the coaching staff earlier, but just to bring it up once again, you have Jay Triano, who's been an assistant in the league for 20 plus years. Popeye Jones, been a player and a longtime assistant, as is Phil Handy. Mike Penberthy was a longtime Lakers assistant as well. Josh Broghammer, one of the bigger up-and-coming coaches on this Mavericks staff who they really like, along with a few other guys who have some experience as well, but they're younger and a little bit more inexperienced. So this team has a really good mix of experience of young and up-and-coming basketball minds that should really help elevate this squad to being one of the best teams there in the West. And I think that the coaching absolutely matters in the NBA. And when you have coaching, I think Jason Kidd is a good head coach in the league, alongside basically another head coach in Frank Vogel with the experience of Jay Triano, the experience of Popeye Jones. It should make for a good coaching staff that should give the Mavericks a chance to win on any given night. And just a reminder on these important dates that are coming up for the Mavericks, training camp will begin on September 30th with Media Day the day before that, I believe. The preseason opener will be in Fort Worth at Dickies Arena on October 6th against the defending champion OKC Thunder, before the season opener on October 22nd at home against Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. It's a lot closer than you think, man, and I cannot wait to get started with all of you guys. Grade the Mavs offseason for me down in the comment section. A, B, C, D, or F. I think I'll give them a B-ish. Like, I like the addition of D'Angelo Russell for given what they could have done. And I obviously love the addition of Cooper Flagg, even though that one was pretty much set in stone for them. So give me your grade down there in the comment section. That will do it for today's show, guys. Appreciate you for tuning in to Mavericks Today, as always. Hit that subscribe button once again. If you want us to go live this season, we'll have you covered with all of the latest Mavericks news and rumors, real-time reaction, and live analysis to every single game the Dallas Mavericks play this year.